The reason we're meeting with you today is to tell you that there are 3.5 days of school left. And in an abundance of caution, I had a telephone meeting this morning with our superintendent, and then we had a conference call with all of the police chiefs in the county. At this time, there are 111 charter and public schools that don't have a full-time school resource officer or school resource deputy assigned. Because we want to make sure that we do everything that we can to be safe, I ask, what do you think about us changing work schedules, doing whatever we need to do in order to cover each of our public schools? And here's what occurred. The chief said, absolutely, whatever the superintendent needs or wants, we're there. I talked to the superintendent and she said she would appreciate that. What we want to do is make sure that during this last 3.5 days that our students can focus on school, finishing their final exams, and getting ready for an awesome, awesome summer. What we want to make sure is that we clearly send the message. Whether it's adults that make any kind of threat or students or kids that make any kind of threats toward the schools during this next 3.5 days, they will be investigated and arrested. If you're a juvenile, there won't be any of this diversion business, okay? You're going to be arrested, taken to the Jack Center, and locked up. We expect you to be respectful of the other students. We expect you to be respectful of the schools, and we expect you as a student at one of our many schools, if you hear something or see something, say something really quick. Once we cover these schools for the next 3.5 days, that means there will never be a public school in Polk County again that doesn't have an armed guardian, an armed school resource officer, or an armed school resource deputy, because we will be prepared with one of the three of those options on August 13th when school takes back in. So with that, let me turn this over first to our superintendent to make some comments.
Thank you, Sheriff. Today is a hard day, a sad day, as we see another school shooting. It's very difficult when children are going to school, parents are entrusting them to go to school to learn, and they have to hear of a school shooting. I want to thank the sheriff and all law enforcement agencies for stepping up to ensure that this last week of school for our students will be a safe one. We're doing everything possible, parents, I assure you, to make sure that when you drop your children off or you send them to us, they're going to be safe. That's why, I have banned backpacks to help us as much as possible to make sure nothing can get into the schools by any means. We want to make sure that we have safety and we're able to make sure that if an officer's on campus, they don't have to figure out where something is entering, how it's getting in, and what we need to do. We're going to do everything possible to make sure when your children arrive next week, they're safe. So on behalf of the school board, myself, thank you to the law enforcement that has stepped up to ensure the safety of our schools for the last week. And as the sheriff said, next year we will have security, armed guardians on our campuses. Thank you.
I can assure the residents of Haines City, the students, the faculty of Haines City, that we will continue the law enforcement presence we've had since the shooting in Broward County. There will be law enforcement on the ground each and every day to ensure the safety of our kids, and nothing's going to change. Thank you.
Good afternoon. We absolutely appreciate the partnership with the Sheriff's Office as well as the school board in keeping the children safe. We will have all our campuses covered, and just again, we make a plea to the teachers and the parents to keep a sharp eye out on anything that looks out of the unordinary and to let us know as soon as possible. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Sheriff, walk me through the process of seeing, yet another school tragedy and saying, I need to call this emergency.
When we learned once again of this school shooting, you must understand that even though it happened at Santa Fe High School in Santa Fe, Texas, we digest that as if it happened to our children personally, because they're all our children. When you send your children to a school campus in Polk County and turn them over to the school system, I have the duty and responsibility to be the chief law enforcement officer for 660-something thousand people in the county to begin with. But then when we turn them over to the schools, it's the duty and responsibility of the school system, the city police departments, and the sheriff's office to make sure they're as safe as possible. And we do that. We already have a multi-layered approach of safety and security that exists in our school systems. And as I said when I presented to the school board not so long ago, that we will continue to add layers of safety and security in order to keep the children safe. So what this is one more layer of safety and security. And what's really exciting to me, when we had this conference call with the police chiefs, there wasn't any hemming or hawing. It was like, we're on board. Let's do it. We'll figure it out. Now, we're having to change work schedules around in order to cover these schools, because we're talking about 111 positions that we're going to have to fill for 4 days. So that's 444 job assignments in 3.5 days of school that we've got to create. That's no small task. And our people will be working over the weekend. But 100% of the people that are involved in keeping your children safe, we're totally on board. And there's always going to be a naysayer, and let me go ahead and tell you right up front, I always want to be blamed for overdoing it rather than underdoing it. So we are going to make sure that we get through this last 3.5 days of school. And is this something new? No, it's not. Just a few years ago, we had to put deputies on many buses in one area of the county. In the last few days of school, the deputies actually rode the buses in order to keep the peace there. So at the end of school, it's not uncommon for kids to get anxious and excited and do silly things. But an active shooter is not a silly thing. And it's a dead serious thing to all of us. And our hearts and our prayers go out to all of those who suffered this tragedy at Santa Fe, as well as the other schools as well. We're offering up prayers that everyone will recover quickly. And for those who died, we're just praying for their family and friends. But I can tell you this, we absolutely unequivocally will run into danger to protect your child. But most importantly, if you see something or hear something and you tell us so that we can stop the potential active assailant in advance, that's the preferred method. So the message that needs to go out across the state and across the country is, if you see something, you hear something, say something in advance. When they walk onto the campus with their guns and their pipe bombs, people are going to be hurt. No matter how well we are able to respond, people are going to be hurt. So tell us in advance. We'll get through this. And once again, today is the last afternoon in the Polk County school system that there won't be armed security on every public campus. Okay?
Will that include charter schools as well? Is that
Charter schools are also known as public schools. Yes, sir.
Because it's short notice and you had to change around the schedules, will the community still be covered? Are you just doing overtime shifts?
We will absolutely not take resources from our normal patrol shifts that patrol and keep the community safe. What we're doing is there are detectives that are working on active investigations. So, hey, some of you guys we're going to jail on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week, we'll go to jail on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Because on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the detectives may be back in a uniform at a school. So we are realigning schedules for that 3.5 days. The work will all get done. We're just going to have to take the resources that we have available, because quite frankly, if overtime and personnel weren't an issue, we would have had law enforcement officers on every campus year in and year out forever. So at the end of the day, we can do this. We can cover 111 schools for 444 additional shifts during the next 3.5 days without reducing the safety and security of the community. And that was a lot of the conversation that the chiefs and I had together.
Sheriff, some of the smaller PDs or just may not have the resources. Are you guys going to cover for them as well? Is that the case?
Yes, sir. We have some of the smaller police departments that certainly don't have the additional resources necessary, and we are assisting them. But make no mistake about it, the uniqueness about this county is the chiefs and I, first and foremost, are friends. And we respect each other and we work together. So we all work every day across the city-county lines to ensure all the people in this community are safe. And it's an honor to work with these chiefs, and it's an honor to work with a school superintendent and a school board who gets it. And everyone gets it. We're going to do everything possible, and we need the community to do everything possible to help keep the students safe. And when it comes to the community, it's if you see something, hear something, say something. If you see a weird picture or your child says, look at this picture this guy sent or this quote that he sent. Or in one case we're working on right now, a t-shirt that said, "Born to Kill." That's a clue. Call us. Let us get involved in that and see if it's just a kid doing a stupid thing or if it's serious. But make no mistake about it. If you make a radical, threatening statement, we're taking you at your word, and we're going to lock you up before quick. Plan on it. Any other questions? Thank you very much.